I'd like to get your perspective on what is really at stake over there when we're talking about, like growth creation, when we're talking about the way that, of course, young startup can make it through 2021. What should we actually pay attention to? Is it pure startup creations, or we probably also trying to see how we can make them grow with enough funds and enough effort and enough mentoring? Is it also about helping them worm their way through regulation and legislation, which is, let's face it, some Krav Maga sometimes, if you look at it? Maybe Eve first.
I'm going to give you the corporate perspective to that question and how the COVID crisis impacted the startups. I think during an outbreak, and it was even the case during this crisis, corporates has to refocus on their priorities and their business and what tend to make direct revenues and impacts on growth. And so this is not a good thing for startups, because startups is more about innovation and transformation. And actually, there is another point that is interesting. It's about temporality, about timing. I think you know about it. Companies have very long-last decision cycles. It takes a while to take decision. It's all about. Not all about, but it's about bureaucracy and hierarchy. I'm sorry, it's not that sexy, that Google X that we saw just before.
Yeah, but it's definitely real life
but
when it
that's
comes
the
to
reality.
startup corporates.
And startup has to move very, very fast, to be very, very quick. And it's been actually exacerbated by this crisis this last month, several months. Large companies had a slowdown, and because focusing on their priorities, and startups needed to be very, very, very fast, not to die. So the impact of how they make it through 2021 was not that positive. But because I want to give positive effects
of course you
as
do.
well, I think there was collective awareness of how we should act with smaller ones than us, and how to spare our suppliers. There was a lot of announcement of CEOs of CAC 40 CEOs saying that we needed now to pay our suppliers like immediately, which is quite normal, but it was not the case before. And so in the relationship we had with startups, there was an evolution, and we talk differently, and we try to make business more efficiently. And the last effect I wanted to say, it's about the new topics. We heard a lot about it. There is a new topic emerging with this crisis. We had a lot of examples today, and it gave optimism for the relationship between startups and us, either for our own internal function, the way we work. We all talked about transformation and video conferencing and remote work, etc. But at Orange, we have clients, and our clients had to evolve. And I wanted to take the example of Orange Business Services, which is the entity who works we create and sell products for our clients. And our clients are from entertainment, event, health, education. And if we don't adapt to them, and if we don't propose a solution from startups who are more agile and more creative, I think we're out of touch with reality.
Wow, okay, interesting perspective actually. Maya, France Digitale is quite a great observatory when it comes to trying to understand what businesses of all scales are all about: unicorns, scale-ups, startups, seeds. So if we zoom in, very young startups, what's really at stake out there in 2021? Is it a survival question?
Not survival. Actually, I'm going to be a bit more optimistic, I think. In some way, the crisis was a kind of opportunity for the startups, because I don't know if we can say fortunately or unfortunately, but we have seen that the digital transition is a must, but everywhere. So I think that investors tend to went all in on digital field and digital startups. So we have seen a lot of money coming in, and so we asked to our startups what was the impact of the crisis in one of our studies that we released last week. For almost 40% of them, they say that they haven't seen any impact of the COVID crisis on their businesses, like especially when raising funds. And if we are looking at the figures regarding the revenue, because it's great to raise funds, but it's also great to make business, we've seen in 2020 a rise of 15%. So yes, maybe we have to make a kind of difference between the very young company and the biggest one, because definitely it was easier to raise some fund when you were at a Series A, Series B stage than when you were at seed. But still, I think that a lot of investors and also some corporate investors decided to really, because it was a time of crisis, decided to make some choices, and some choices were directed directly to the startups. So I will be a bit positive regarding the crisis, saying it was kind of an opportunity for the startups.
Interesting. So, of course, initiatives such as yours, France Digital on the one end, and corporates such as Orange on the other end, how do you help thriving this ecosystem? Yves, maybe first.
We did a lot, so this is a proof of optimism, even if it maybe
there is
was
some
not
optimism on the stage
in my speech. But I'm sure that what needs startup when it comes to corporate and when they come to us is business, money, and support for technology. And we worked on these three fields, and we've been working for years actually, and we try to emphasize much more on it. Business, it's about creating long-lasting and valuable commercial relationships. I think it was Deborah who said just before that the main thing was about having a point of contact, knowing the good person in the company. So that's what we are doing. My team is helping the startups to find the good person in this huge maze of our company, to pre-qualify their demand, and then when the match is here, to concretize this relationship with business and trying to scale it afterwards. So this is part of our accelerator. We have a corporate accelerator. You were talking about all these structures that exist in companies. So we have one, which is Orange Fab. So this is about business. We also provide money, which is also important with the corporate venture capital fund that we have, which is Orange Venture. I will not talk about it today because I know you're all specialists. And then the third one is about technology. Some startups need our support to understand better some technology. And I wanted to take the example of 5G, which is the new generation, the new mobile generation. 70% of the companies we asked say that they needed their operator to better understand this technology and the tremendous opportunities that it was giving for usages, for all they can do. So we created something that is a Orange 5G Lab, which is a place. There's places actually in France and in Europe to help those companies understand this technology and test, prototype, can talk with experts about it to develop their product.
Wonderful. Again, I mean, France Digitale is a great observatory when it comes to startups, and I guess you help them also debunk any piece of regulation and on their way to the ecosystem.
Yeah, because we are a professional network, what we do best is create connections, for sure, and business connection, because we do have some, I mean, there are a lot of B2B startups, so it's great for them to come to our network to create some business. Also because we have some partnerships with big corporates, so it's very interesting for them. What makes us a bit special is that we are an association that represents startups, but also investors. So it's very interesting for startups to come and join the network to raise some fund for sure. And we made a lot of things regarding talent because we know that it's the main point when you are a startup wanting to develop your business is to find the good talents to help you grow. So yeah, from I would say operational part, we help creating connection, but also what we do is to create the regulation environment that is that fits with the startup's needs to grow. So yeah, we are working on two legs: the operational part, creating business, and the regulation part.
And yet, of course, we're here to celebrate. I mean, there's many successes of the ecosystem out there, but French startup raised 5.1 billion euros just for the first semester of 2021. That is almost a total sum raised by the ecosystem for the entire year 2020. Are we honestly on the threshold of a bubble out there? Okay.
No, I really don't think so. I just think that it shows that our ecosystem is more and more mature. So this is why we have this such months. And as I was saying, we talk a lot about the fund we raise, but startups are also creating some values because they are doing business and there is a real revenue. So as I was saying, last year for the startups we asked, it was more than 7 billion. So it's more than the fund raise. So no, I do think that we are more and more mature, and which is very interesting too is that the startup create a lot of jobs in France. Today, startups represent more than 500,000 jobs, and it creates a lot of jobs in different sectors area. So I don't think it's a bubble. I just think it's a sign that we are more and more mature.
Yves?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm able to say if it's a bubble or not, but actually, I don't want to be pessimistic because it's not my nature. I'm not like that at all. But we saw and we observed that there was a lot of fund raised and a billion raised. But business is not that easy, and Deborah, I'm quoting her again, say that finding clients is not that easy, and I think the bubble has to become soap. I don't know how to say that, but you know, we have to keep in mind that we have to work on these business relationships that are durable and it's getting a good. A lot of energy. But actually, I'm very optimistic when I see all these startups that were presented here. I'm absolutely positive about the fact that it's going to lead to growth and scale.
So, I mean, again, those 2020 years seems to be quite paradoxical, you know, like the pandemic on the one hand, funds being raised like never before on the other. Give us some tips to actually be able to navigate the 2020s when it comes to being a startup.
I'm going to start again about the study we made, but it's incredible to see that startups create so many jobs, but at the same time, the first obstacle is to hire the good people. So there is a real issue about talent. So I think that if we want to go to the next level and really scale, we really need to find the good talents and to attract them. Because I do think that we have good engineers in France, for instance, but some of them go in different places, don't stay in France. So yeah, we have to keep on having these good engineers, but a bit more, trying to retain them, but also attract people from other countries because we have to be more and more international if we want to go to the next stage. And so yes, there is a lot of things to do about talent to attract them. And at France Digitale, we work a lot to, I know that for instance, the French Tech Visa was quite a success for French startups, even if there are a lot of things to keep improving about this visa. But we could imagine to create the same thing, but at a European stage, because we really need to compete against the US and Asia. So yeah, to go to the next stage, we have to think at a European stage.
It's a global map, isn't it? It's definitely global when it comes to the war for talent and the thirst for talents, of course. Yves, what are your tips?
I would say being focused A lot of people said it today, and I totally agree. Being focused on the good topics, the ones that are valuable and durable, finding the good talents, finding the money where it is, and building the good commercial relationship with the ecosystem that is durable and valuable.
So question out of the blue to wrap it up. If you had to bring in this one idea to create a startup of your own in 2021, what field would you create this startup in? Would it be deep tech? Would it be biotech? Would it be robotics? Would it be AI? I don't know. Give us an hint.
It depends on what you want.
Exactly.
Money.
No, it's not about money. We do talk a lot about the European sovereignty, and I think that if I had to create a startup right now, I would choose a technical field where we can compete against the US and Asia. So we have to go to the new things, but also, and it depends on what you want, we really push at France Digitale that we need to create some company but with purpose, because maybe having some values and be ethical and responsible regarding the environment, for instance, is maybe the things that will make a difference against the US and Asia. So I would say either you can go very technical or with something with values, and it can be both at the same time.
Stand out from the crowd. How about you, Yves? If you had to, get the glimpse at the open innovation at Orange and do some entrepreneurship for a startup, what field would it be?
I think it will be in education, in digital education, because there's a gap, and a huge gap between what we can see in public school right now, what we see in private schools, and what we see in other countries, and what we can imagine of doing in a digital world. That will be very interesting.